Did Barış Baktaş take his foot off the gas for love, or did love arrive at exactly the wrong hour? Was it romance that slowed a blazing career, or a collision of timing that no star could dodge? A real crossroads for Barış Baktaş, a love storm right when the ascent felt unstoppable. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. Before we dive into the heart of this story, remember to subscribe and support the channel so you don't miss a moment of the drama and the truth behind the headlines. Now, let's unravel what really happened. Picture an actor who refuses to be defined by looks alone. He wants to be remembered for courage in role choices, for discipline on set, for the kind of performances that make people forget the gossip columns for a moment and simply watch. He would rather be associated with bold projects than with fleeting sparks of romance. That actor is Barış Baktaş, and tonight, we're tracing the arc that took him from a career-defining triumph to a deeply personal trial. This video turns the spotlight on Sandoken, the single most muscular project of Barış's journey so far, the contentious love affair that flared in its aftermath, and the question everyone kept asking in whispers and headlines alike: did Barış lose momentum because of love, or did he fall in love at precisely the wrong time? We'll talk about what made Sandoken a new benchmark for him, how the romance with Yağmur Yüksel burst into the public eye and stayed there, and why the kind of love he needs now might not be the kind that craves the limelight. Let's start with the rise. For years, Barış held a strong fan base at home and an expanding audience abroad. But looking back, Sandoken sits in a completely different category from what came before. It wasn't just another role. It was the part that let him throw off the "just handsome" label and claim something sturdier: craft. The character's steel and softness, bravado and wounds, let Barış show a layered intensity that people weren't expecting. Suddenly, critics who had watched him for years were saying, in essence, there it is, that's the performance we knew he had in him. After Sandoken, international doors didn't just crack open, they swung wide. For the first time, you could hear the question ripple across markets like an echo: where does Barış go from here? But as the spotlight brightened on his work, another light, harsher and less forgiving, fell on his private life. Right in the wake of Sandoken's momentum, whispers turned to chatter, and chatter became headlines: Barış and Yağmur Yüksel. It wasn't just that the romance was sudden. It was the way it was framed, the murmurs of "forbidden" hovering around it in quotation marks, the sense that the narrative had slipped out of his hands and into everyone else's. Was this the pivot point, the moment that changed how the public read his career? Or was it only a pause, the kind of turbulence every star endures before the engine roars again? Here's what we'll unpack tonight. The atmosphere and pressure surrounding Sandoken's set and release, the delicate line Barış tried to walk between love and work, why the relationship with Yağmur was met with bracing criticism, and why the most powerful kind of love in his life now might be the kind that steadies rather than steals focus. If you've ever wondered whether true love lifts an artist or weighs them down, stay through the end. What follows isn't just gossip, it's the anatomy of a turning point. With Sandoken, Barış didn't just look the part, he inhabited it. The performance had a control and restraint that surprised people who had pegged him as pure magnetism. The grief beneath the glare, the leader who aches when no one's looking, the nerve to play silence as loudly as a monologue, that's what lingered with viewers. Fans flooded social media with variations of the same sentiment: this isn't hype, this is acting. The kudos followed across borders, new producers took notes. But just as the calls for next roles grew louder, the story took a sharp turn. There's a saying we all know in this world: a star's softest spot is the heart. As Sandoken's afterglow pulsed, Barış faced that truth. The romance with Yağmur didn't just add warmth to his days, it added fire to the public narrative. The way the relationship surfaced, fast, intense, framed by speculation and clips amplified into narratives, crashed into the careful image he'd been building. Contained, focused, on mission. In certain corners of the European press, the emphasis slid from his work to his love life overnight. And when the conversation tilts that way, even an actor at full stride can look like he's standing still. Why did the relationship draw such fierce scrutiny, more than any he'd had before? First came timing. The moment demanded careful steps. A huge international breakthrough needs clean lines, a clear runway. A very public romance at that exact minute signaled, to some, a loss of control. Second, communication. The flashes on social, the little storms in comments, the unguarded moments that bled beyond their circle, all of it chipped away at the aura of mystery that had served Barış so well. Third, the labels. Words like forbidden, even when tossed around as rumor, are gasoline in the culture of celebrity. Whether or not the claim holds water, the perception becomes its own beast, and managing it becomes a job. In that climate, Barış had to pivot from living his love story to managing its narrative. And that is where the damage happens, when you're adjusting your real life to answer chatter rather than to nourish your craft. So was there a drop, or only a stall? That's the puzzle people still pick at. What we can say is this: the velocity changed. The big international play everyone expected as a quick follow-up to Sandoken didn't arrive on schedule. The selectivity that usually produces a strong slate gave way to a different kind of silence. Brand partnerships that once seemed inevitable were discussed less often, or more cautiously. The press, sensing blood, talked more about romance than scripts. This is normal in one sense: every star has seasons, but it's perilous when you're on the cusp of global consolidation. Different markets have different appetites, but they share one aversion: when private drama becomes the main course and the work is a side dish. In moments like this, the cost of losing balance between passion and discipline becomes clear. Not because love is an obstacle, but because unmanaged love, love that keeps demanding the stage, drains the energy you need for the long game. If Sandoken was the proof of potential, what followed threatened to cloud the view of it. Not erase it, never that, but blur its edges. So what does Barış need now, at this exact hour? A love that steadies, not a love that spotlights. A partner who strengthens the edges of his days without needing to live inside every frame. A quiet that restores him after loud sets and louder premieres. Something that doesn't empty the tank, but refuels it. To cement the professional gains he's earned, to transform surges into longevity, he needs emotional stability that aligns with ambition. Sandoken revealed the scope of what he can do. The task now is to protect that capacity. The right love is not a rival to his craft. It's the wind at his back. Post-Sandoken, the crossroads look stark. Will he treat that triumph as a summit to polish on the shelf, or as a launchpad? The answer won't be written by a single role. It will be written by his choices, by the projects he takes and the people he invites into his real life. This is the point where an actor discovers that talent is essential but not sufficient. The ecosystem around the talent matters. Was the chapter with Yagmur a mistake or a lesson? Maybe both. What matters is whether the experience sharpened his instincts, whether it taught him when to open the door and when to draw the curtain. Let's be honest, the perfect alignment of role, moment, and personal calm is rare. But when it happens, a career can turn from bright to enduring. Sandoken's success was not an accident. It came from rigor, from daily work that nobody saw, from a refusal to coast. Where the balance faltered was not on set but off it. And that is fixable. The future does not depend on denying love, it depends on embracing the version of it that belongs in his life now. The one that motivates. The one that protects. So how does this next act begin? With new projects selected for their stretch, not just their sheen. With a circle that is tight, loyal, and quiet. With a romance that does not need to be proven every week on the internet. With a calm that turns his focus back to the craft, because that's where his power always was. If he does that, the narrative flips. The same press that counted the missteps will count the wins. The same fans who worried will rally. The same producers who paused will dial again. Did the relationship make him happier or leave him more alone? Only Barış can answer that. What we can say is that romance with a megaphone rarely goes the distance for artists on the rise. Stormy headlines may thrill the moment, but they shake even the steadiest careers. The love that lasts for people like him tends to be the kind that guards the work instead of competing with it. A partnership that says, go do the thing you do best, I'll be here when you're home. Imagine the productivity, the discipline, the strength that follows from that. Imagine the scripts he could say yes to. And the greater good of saying no when it's not right. He is far from done. There are new roles to test his limits, new languages to learn, new collaborators to surprise. There is a version of Barış beyond Sandoken that only he can unlock, and it starts with choices that reflect who he became in that role: brave, restrained, all in. If the next steps are as deliberate as the performance that took him here, then Sandoken won't be the finish line. It will be the beginning of the long, steady run that makes a legacy. So what do you think? Did Baktaş truly take a step back for love, or is this only a brief pause before the next climb? What kind of love do you believe would propel him forward, the noisy kind that demands the spotlight, or the quiet kind that lights the path? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the stories that matter. We'll be here next time, only on Secrets Behind the Stars, taking you where the cameras don't. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and goodbye.